Welcome, everybody. Happy New Year, Mayor.
Happy New Year. We can't say that in a few days, right?
No, yeah.
We get out of January, we
Golly.
just can't say it anymore.
I got to tell you,
So
weirdly, January has been the shortest somehow and longest year ever. We just hit the ground running in
I get that.
2026.
I get that. I understand that.
But I can't believe we're already at the end of the first month of 2026.
We're here.
Welcome, everybody, to Talk At
Yep.
the Town. Before we kick everything off, we appreciate you joining this morning. We're already a month into 2026.
It's crazy.
What's been going on already? I mean, it's cold.
It's been cold.
It's been cold.
It's been hot.
Yeah.
It's been cold again.
Yeah.
Got really cold.
Got really, really cold.
It's warmed up.
Yep.
I think tomorrow, if you want to go play golf, tomorrow is probably the best day to go do that. Mid-60s.
Golly.
And then it's going to dive again this weekend. So, yeah,
Don't pack the blankets up just yet.
It's the roller coaster ride that is winter. Here in Southeast Texas.
Yep.
I always tell people, we have 5 months, or excuse me, five seasons.
Yeah.
We have 5 seasons, and people look at me like I'm crazy. And we have about a week of winter.
Yep.
Real winter. We have a lot of fall and a lot of spring.
Sure.
A lot of summer, and then we have August.
That does need to be its own.
And I always tell people who live up north, you just have to experience August.
Yeah.
To know that August is its own season.
I'm always interested with transplants, especially that move from like far north,
right?
To see what the reaction is going to be when we get to August, because it's special. I mean,
it is,
and not in a good way. I mean,
no.
It's
well, sometimes in a good way.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it is. And honestly, I'll tell you, after coming through this last couple days of extremely cold temperatures, I'd rather the August heat over sub-freezing temperature personally.
I can get cool with AC,
but
sometimes when you just get cold, your hands get cold, your feet get cold, and you just can't get warm. That's just that's frustrating sometimes.
That's how you know you're a true Texan.
Yeah. I mean,
So speaking of this weather, this last weekend, we had a nice update in our last city council meeting from Captain Ibarra from our police department. He was assigned as our incident commander, in case we needed to activate for the winter weather this last weekend. Encourage everybody to go and check that out because it was a great recap of
not long, 6-8 minutes, something like that. Good recap of preparations and those things. Great news. We didn't have to open our emergency operations center. We did have declarations signed in the event we needed to. We did have all of those things ready in the event that it got worse.
Yeah.
The good news for us is the moisture came in early.
Yep.
And the cold sub-freezing delayed.
Yep.
So it allowed the wet stuff to dry. And then it got cold, so we got lucky with not having the two coming at the same time. I think there were some people who got up Sunday morning or Monday morning and experienced some flurries in the sky because it was it was just wet enough kind of in the atmosphere that they saw some flurries. Good news is it really didn't amount to much, but the city was ready.
Mm-hmm.
We had all of our water and sewer operations up and going. We had all of our backup generation for all of those facilities keyed up and ready to go.
Yep.
We had signs out in the event that we needed to close or augment what was happening with our overpasses in town. If you'll notice, we didn't salt them or put sand out on them because we were waiting.
Mm-hmm.
We just didn't want to deploy that unless we needed to. So we had eyes on our overpasses pretty much on an hourly basis over the stretch of that time. And so our crews, both public works crews, streets crews, drainage crews, all of those folks out in the elements, making sure that we were ready to go was phenomenal. Fire and police staff in the midst of it, being out and about with eyes on the ground was very, very good. Our city facilities, all of our buildings, we were weatherized and ready to go. So we were fortunate, which one of the reasons, for example, we've had questions about warming centers and those types of things. we didn't feel the need to open the warming centers because of the delay in the cold stuff coming and the wet stuff. And most importantly, we didn't lose power.
That's
typically we will open warming centers if we lose power, because now people can't get the heat in their home, to be able to get warm. And so that's when we will generally open warming centers from a city facility standpoint. But if people needed to, they could go to the rec center on Sunday. We did a delay opening at noon, but they could go in and warm up if they needed to. Those types of things. But fortunately for us, our city operations didn't stop. The downside when we have events like this is because of the cold, people have space heaters and things of that nature in their home. We did have several fires over the weekend, house fires. Fortunately, in several of the cases, in all the cases, from my understanding, is none were total losses. So that's a good thing. That means our fire crews were ready, willing, and able, and got there in good time to be able to put those out. So, but at the same time, you've got some families that are displaced right now because of the fires. And it's just one of those things that there's a correlation to space heaters and things of that nature that happen, this time of the year.
Well, and we did have about 75 calls for service in terms of shutting water off. So there were several instances of pipes freezing, and that's relatively small compared to, for example,
21
Uri. Right, we had over 500 when things started to thaw, and so our teams responded to those. There was also, I think it was over Saturday night, a water main break in the what was the neighborhood?
It was over by Cypress Village.
Cypress Village, thank you.
Magnolia and Harkey.
It was a
area.
16-inch water line.
Right.
And those crews, I think it broke at 6 p.m.
Right.
And
late afternoon.
And it wasn't completely repaired until Sunday morning, meaning those crews were out there
in the
elements trying to fix that repair.
Right.
And obviously there was an interruption of service to that community.
Right. Which that leads to something. There were several people out on social media wanting to know what was going on with water. So it was clear the people who were asking the questions on social media and the like don't have our alerts.
Yes.
And have not signed up for our alerts. Had they signed up for our alerts, they would have received the text alert in their neighborhood that of what was happening. I think we even put a map up to show the affected area.
Yeah, so pearlandtx.gov/alerts. Right. And when there is an interruption of service, so the distribution and collections crews that go out there to make those repairs, if it's a small enough impacted area, they will go door to door and let everybody know. And then once they reach a certain threshold where it's just not reasonable to reach everybody,
this was a large area,
they'll send out an alert through our system. It's called Everbridge, but they do it at multiple points. They do it when they get on site for the alert or for the break. So they let everybody know, hey, you might see an interruption of service while we repair this. And then once everything's done and their service has been returned, they'll send out another message saying, hey, everything's
the actual break, I think, was at was not Kennedy. I forget the name of the street, but it was right there off of Harkey, just south. Just south of the Cypress Village neighborhood.
And it was supposedly, from my understanding, a very interesting break from a water production perspective, because it was at a coupling where they ended up having to cut it out and weld a whole new T in place there.
Wow.
So it was they were working to try to solve the issue as quickly as possible, and it took several iterations before they could get that back in service.
Yeah, so when I talk about first responders, our crews like that are every bit as important as police and fire. They are on the front lines. They're digging holes. They're going down into those elements, trying to repair that.
In the mud and the muck and
super cold. So those work crews deserve a pat on the back for the work that they did.
Absolutely.
It is an inconvenience not having your water, but it's even worse if a 16-inch water main is not repaired.
Right.
It would have been there potential for loss of pressure.
Yep.
All those kind of things in that area. Now you get into some really tough decisions on boil notices and all of that kind of stuff that may go into it. So just fortunately we got it done, but those happen, and our crews adjust. They get out there in a moment's notice and get going with it.
Well, and we did have a couple questions about if it had to do with the weather, and that break didn't specifically. It was just a failure on the junction that was right there. Just unfortunate timing, really. In addition to all of that, kind of the mayor's point, for those in the public that don't see all the work that goes into preparing for emergencies, our teams start spooling up early, and way before we get to even public messaging related to natural disasters or things like that.
Weather events.
Tuesday, Wednesday, we're beginning to have conversations about the things that need to take place, the people that need to be activated, the types of messaging we need to put out. So, for example, on the bridges, we were prepared to put out messaging around bridges being closed. We had that messaging, spooled and ready to go by Friday, anticipating it wouldn't be until Sunday that we would need to do that, because we want to be prepared for any potential eventuality. Our whole teams had their bags packed, ready to respond to the emergency operations center if the situation warranted it. And we had those conversations through the entire weekend, checking on the weather, checking, in the community, did we lose power, any of the things like that. And so there's a lot of effort that goes into the preparation and training to make sure that we're ready to be able to respond to these things. And then a lot of effort placed into situational awareness so that everybody's working together and there's a common operating picture there.
Yeah, and then to kind of switch gears, but talking about the winter storm, I guess it now has a name, Fern.
Fern, yep.
Got an official name to it. So Winter Storm Fern was on multiple calls through the weekend with CenterPoint and their teams to know and learn and understand what was happening for the electricity grid expectations and all of that. Obviously we came through that event relatively unscathed. There were a light number of people across the greater Houston area. Remember, they got 2 to 2.5 million customers. I think Monday morning, sometime between Sunday night and Monday morning, they had as many as 13,000 customers without power. Was what the high that I remember seeing. By 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, that number was in the 3,000 number.
Wow.
And then literally within a couple hours, it was down below 100. So very minor. They did have some transformers fail. Fortunately, they had plenty of transformers on standby so they could get those shifted out or changed out. They did have an additional crew of about 600 people from outside the area here, in addition to they had about 3,000 CenterPoint crew people on standby, staged, ready. Most of that in the northern part of our area. Obviously, here in the south part of the area wasn't going to get as cold. Certainly, the wintry mix, along with the temperature, was going to be on the northern side of the Houston marketplace. But they did very well. I will tell you, ERCOT. The big question was, is the grid itself going to be resilient enough to be there? ERCOT coming into Monday morning, they said that the demand on the system statewide, it was going to be peak demand. And so when you hear that, you immediately think of 21. Peak demand and those types of things.
That's the most current standard.
The good news is, between ERCOT and the state, they have made some changes. They had some procedural changes from 21. Back in 21, the unfortunate side there, they had several electric plants around the state that were offline when that happened for maintenance. They were scheduled maintenance. I think a lesson learned is they had too many offline at one time, which caused part of the problem when everything went down. So they have fixed that. They have increased generation across the state since that happened. And so, all of that, our grid held up and we did well. Doesn't mean that we have another one. Every one of these are on a standby, case by case basis, right? And you have to look at them.
Storm is different.
So our grid held, our gas held. We were fortunate in that it didn't get as cold as they initially, even here into the teens. We didn't get there, so that's a good news.
Yeah. Well, we just want to say thank you to all of the employees, the elected officials, the leadership who took this seriously, and we appreciate the community for staying engaged and informed and involved. And if you haven't sign up for our emergency alerts to stay informed. Follow our social media channels because that's the best way to get reliable information about the community and our posture and response to those types
and not only that, sign up for those, because when we have roadway maintenance, or if we've got construction project, or we've got various things starting, that's how you can also get a direct alert of when those things are going to happen. So
you want to hop into some of the questions we got? We got a handful of questions covering a variety of different things. A couple of these things we've addressed in previous Talk of the Towns or in other formats, so we may not answer them as in full form as we do here, but we'll jump right into just in order that we received them. So the first one is from Rick Weishaupt. He asked, when is the sidewalk from Magnolia Parkway to Barry Miller Junior High being completed?
Yeah, so I've answered this. In fact, I answered it last month, and it's the same answer to Rick. That stretch of road, the 1128 corridor, is in a design phase right now with TxDOT. TxDOT is scheduling to widen that from a 2-lane open ditch road to a 4-lane boulevard type section. So I don't think it would be wise for us to spend tax money going after and doing things when the state is going to be doing that. Secondly, his comment here about, I've got a political sign out there where a sidewalk could go. The problem is the sidewalk couldn't go there because the sign's on private property. So we can't just go and put a sidewalk on private property. We would have to purchase that
property,
and everything else, which TxDOT will be doing as part of their overall design work and project work. So we've answered this question now 2 months in a row. I think this is one that we can put on the shelf and not answer again.
Next one from Matthew Wilson. It's a long explanation. So just the question part of it, why is the city of Pearland so difficult to do business with? You can see those of you viewing the full explanation on the screen.
Yeah, Matthew actually brings up a great point and something that is a strategic priority of the council. And it's around customer service and customer efficiency. So we established a goal of I guess it was 2 years ago now, of what can we do to improve customer service in all phases of what the city is doing. And so we are about 1 year in to having, we had it was a new position, but we brought that position internally. So we just moved a position from one area over to create this position. Customer service experience officer, and Yvette and her team. We now have a team of about 3 people. We took those people from different areas, like over in Public Works and the like, and to create this. And in fact, they're right behind us, and here we are at City Hall. And that's where phone calls come in for various things. Not only City Hall, but the 1900 number and the like. So we have a kind of a centralized place where those calls come into. And a lot of his revolved around water billing, and not water billing, but how do you get service and sign up for service and those types of things. And so Matthew, we recognize internally that we can do better and be more efficient and more friendly with that. So in about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the whole water billing and those types of things that you're talking about, those functions were moved underneath the customer experience officer. And so her team is now going through how, what, and where to make this more efficient and friendly. So we recognize the problems with it. We're in the process of identifying how, what, and where to be better at it. So more to come on it.
Yeah, I was going to point out too, specifically, Mayor mentioned customer experience manager, and I think that's a key component to, it's not just customer service, but it is the from a customer's perspective, all of our residents, all of our water billing customers, all of our visitors, everybody, how they experience the city, right? And the services that we offer, and trying to make that as enjoyable as possible, I guess is the right way to say that. And so looking at each one of these, every touch point that we have with a community member. So signing up for water service, or requesting a permit, or, everything.
And even, Matthew points out, why can't it be easier to get a garage sale permit than having to sign up as like a vendor and go through? That's a great question. And that's part of what that office is going to be doing, is kind of overhauling and making that better. I've been talking for the last year now, when I go out and talk to groups, that we talk about customers. Who are our customers? Yes, we sell water and sewer services, but every single service that we have, it's a customer. Yes, it's a citizen, it's a resident, it's a constituent. We use those words, but if we really think about it from a business to business, people to people, type of situation, it's a customer. And that customer may be receiving a service, i.e. A police and fire call, or a call for street repair, or whatever the case may be,
or a water line repair.
And that experience, we need to raise the bar. We want to raise the bar, and we're continuing to do so. There's a question later in here that's related to this very topic, and that is, when somebody sends something in on the Connect to Pearland app, and what they see on their end isn't necessarily what's happening over here. For example, somebody sent something in and it shows on their end that it was put on hold. The reality is it's in process. So what we send back to them needs to be the same thing that we see. This request is in process. It's not on hold. It's in process. So is that a glitch in the system? Is that something with the app that we need to work on? Absolutely. And so again, that experience for that person is, well, you didn't even hear me. No, we heard you. What we sent back to you is not accurate. We need to be accurate with that. And
to that point, I believe the charge of the team, of the customer experience team, they're constantly looking for opportunities and ways to improve and enhance that experience. I think that's a never-ending process. It's going to be in a perpetual state of evolution with situations like this, and we appreciate the input from the community to say, hey, this is a challenging experience, or this is a frustrating thing, or different things like that. And just like we do with sidewalk repairs or street maintenance or things like that, we take those things from the most urgent priority down, and then work our way through to try to make it the best experience possible.
And I will say, if you turn something in like a sidewalk or street repair, we do analyze it. And while it may be a priority, and I'm going to say this the wrong way, and I don't mean it this way, while it's a priority on one hand to the customer that sent it in, when you put that up against others that are in the queue, there may be those that are higher priority or more severe in needing to be repaired. So it goes into an order, a pecking order, a queue, if you will, because we want to get to the worst first. And that's a judgment call sometimes. Also in here, there was some comments in this question about municipal court and being an attorney and bondsmen and people of that nature. We've just recently made some changes in our court, in leadership and those types of things over there, because we recognize there needed to be changes. The same old just wasn't where we needed to be. And so that's part of what leadership here at the city is doing. We evaluate those things, we look at them, and if we need to make changes, we make changes. And so, and I would say that it's a continual progression. Same thing in permitting and the like. I mean, just going and getting a permit today versus 2 or 3 years ago is vastly different. It's much more improved.
Sure.
Are we there? No. Are we improving? Yes.
Right.
Will we continue to improve? Absolutely.
Yep.
And so, that's just doing business as a city. We want to improve. The great thing is the people that we have on the ground, they want that customer experience to be high. We want to be known as a place that we can be friendly.
And we want that input to help drive future optimizations, right? So looking at the things that are coming in through the phone, through social media, through the website, and being able to leverage that information to fine tune all of the pieces of the organization makes us significantly more effective in our ability to create the community that people want.
Right.
In addition to, the elected body and the comments in council and things like that. I would encourage everybody, this coming Saturday is our council strategic retreat. And that's a much higher level conversation, but it is that what do we stand for as an organization? Where are we going? What is the coming year? Next? Yeah, right. What does the future look like for us? And it's a fascinating exercise in shaping community. Equally as important as the day-to-day, how to apply for a permit, how to set up water service, things like that. But they're all parts to that progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
Yeah, and the strategic planning session that we have starts our budgeting process. And so council comes together. We'll have some time on Friday to get started. We'll complete on Saturday. We'll go Saturday morning till about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, somewhere in that ballpark. And so it's an opportunity. We have our strategic priorities lined out. Now it's the goals. It's the milestones. It's how we get from point A to point Z through that process. And so it's a progression, all keeping in mind that we have a budget in mind. We've got a tax rate in mind. What does this cost? How do we do this? How do we move this ball and this needle? Too fast, too slow, those types of things. And so all of that is talked about with the Saturday session. It is open to the public. We also we don't live stream it.
We record
it. So we do have it up, so you can hear it, listen, and those types of things after the fact. But you can also come. I mean, it's open to the public. It's at our police training facility, training center right there off of Cullen and Freedom Drive, behind the Kroger Center there on Broadway. And so
I always describe it as, if the professional staff are rowers in a boat, this meeting puts the boat in the water and points it in the direction, right? And then we know which direction we're rowing and how far and all those things.
But it starts our budget process, and what we come up with here, we will memorialize the goals that come out of this weekend in about 6 weeks. Takes about that long to make sure that we get them in a format that makes sense.
It's easy to understand.
With we do bring in an outside vendor that helps us through that. A different set of eyes, ears. We find that to be fruitful because it's not just people who see the same thing every day. They're coming in from an outside perspective. They can ask challenging questions, different questions. And so we look forward to it every year. It is part of the work that the council does. It's the council session. We do have staff and department heads there to be able to ask subject matter questions or answer subject matter questions if need be. But it is a time for council to wrestle with each other, if you will, through these processes. And what comes out on the other end is usually very, very good work that gets advanced. And so when you see our budget come up, in July and August, and there's not necessarily a lot of deep questions into what we're doing, it's because we set goals.
Right.
We set goals, and we told staff, go and do X.
Yep.
And then they bring us X, and it's within the confines of what we can do financially. We're going to approve that.
Right.
And so I tell people that it's a long process to get there.
Sure.
But a necessary process, nonetheless.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I always enjoy the conversation. It's much different than when you all are sitting on the dais, making decisions, things like that.
We forget we're not on the dais sometimes.
But good conversation. I recommend everybody come out to that.
It's a little more laid. Not a little bit. It's a lot more laid back.
It is. Yep.
It's less formal.
Yep.
It's meant to be that way so we can be candid in our conversation.
Yeah.
And so it's good for that. Yeah.
Next one from Brian Cambryce. I'll just read this out because there's a bunch of questions in here. What are you doing to make it easier for renters in Pearland? It can't always be about homeowners or business and property owners. We pay taxes too, including sales taxes and the property taxes of our landlords through our rent. Do you have any ideas to make renting an apartment or house more affordable in Pearland? Are you going to cut or cap sales tax? Everybody is always talking about property taxes and property tax rate caps, but what about sales taxes? Why should people move to or continue to live in Pearland as opposed to Manville or Alvin?
So I'll say on this, renting, whether it's an apartment or a house, just like buying a home, or buying property, in Pearland, it's all market driven.
Right.
And we don't control rents. That's New York. They have rent control in New York.
Yeah.
And so we don't control rents. Again, it's a market-based approach. It's based on the property. It's based on a return that investor wants. Yes, as a renter, I have long held you pay property taxes through your rent.
Right.
You may not write the physical check.
Right.
To the entities, when you pay the taxes, but each month when you pay your
rent,
when you pay your taxes, or excuse me, when you pay your rent, a portion of that is going to taxes. And yes, you shop in stores just like a homeowner does or a business owner does, and you pay sales taxes. So the long answer is the city really has no say in your rent. And I don't see the city getting into the rent control business. I think that's a dangerous, slippery slope for any government to get into. So it should be based on the market. Now, when we talk about cut or cap sales tax, I want to remind people we're at 8.25% on your sales tax. 6.25 goes to the state.
So 2/3. Or 3/4.
So 75% of your sales tax goes to the state of Texas. We don't see that. Right. We don't see a dime of it unless
it comes back into the community.
Unless it comes back in some other form. And so most of even our roadways and those types of things is coming from the federal government. It's your federal tax dollars coming back, gas tax dollars that go to feds and others that are coming back, not your sales tax. But having said that, a penny of your sales tax comes to the city. That does offset property tax. If we didn't have that,
property tax would go up.
The potential for property tax to go up would have to be there.
Right.
A half cent of your sales tax is from the Pearland Economic Development Corporation to attract and bring in the right types of businesses that we want. And when I say the right types of business, we're not talking about retail. We're not talking about restaurant. We're talking about primary jobs, manufacturing jobs, and those types of things. You've seen Lower Kirby and the types of manufacturing jobs that we've had out there. In addition to that,
residential property taxes.
Correct. And so when you've got a a company like Lonza that's on the tax rolls for over $100 million and everything else, that offsets some of your property tax as a homeowner as well as a renter. It offsets it.
Yeah.
Okay. But most importantly, we, between the council and the EDC board, about 3 years ago now, put into place that about 20% of their ongoing annual revenue will be put back into rehabbing and infrastructure older streets. Here's the tricky part when using sales tax dollars from the EDC. It has to have a nexus. It has to be connected to business. So we can't go into a residential area with EDC money and rehab a street, or rehab a sidewalk.
Because there's no job. I mean, you're not creating jobs there.
It would be against Texas law if we did that.
Yep.
So the law states that if we use those monies, there has to be and they use the word nexus. It has to have a connection to primary jobs.
Yep.
So we have to be real careful when we go and do that. So as a result, we have identified about $25 to $30 million in projects that the Economic Development Corporation is systematically paying cash for, no debt, paying cash for, that otherwise property taxpayers would have to pay for.
Yep.
So they're offsetting what would have been done with property taxes. You can drive over to Industrial Drive off of 35 right today, and you can see a construction project that's making its way through.
Yep.
That is an EDC job. It's got that roadway, that infrastructure was way behind and needed to be redone. But the price tag and the need for it wouldn't rise to a normal level because of the number of people that it connects to. So we're able to do that with our EDC. That industrial area over there will be
Rice Dryer is another one of those.
And Rice Dryer is something that they've recently done. Halleck Road is something they've recently done. Knapp Road is on the horizon. There's several others that they're going to come in and completely rehab and bring up to standard.
That's in addition to all of the effort that they make in recruiting businesses to come here, that then bolster the property tax values and subsidize the residential tax.
And to answer Mr. Cambrus's question, why should people move to or continue to live in Pearland as opposed to Manville or Alvin? That's a personal choice that people make.
Sure.
And so the average new home in Manville is more than the average existing home in Pearland. So their average new home is north of $400,000, like $450,000 new home.
Goodness.
Okay. Whereas I think our average or mean home value is in the 370 range here. Okay. So all of that has to be looked at together, right? But that's people's choice.
Sure.
People will move and go.
And I mean, the next big growth area is going to be, is in the Manville, Alvin area, especially as 99 comes
And so
through.
a lot of it's market driven, supply and demand and those types of things. But I'll tell you, even from new apartments and others, their lease rate is high, but it's leasing quick.
Sure.
So clearly there's a market here for those rents. What does that mean for people who can't afford that? They're going to have to look at where they need to go.
Sure.
I don't say that lightly.
Yeah.
But we're not in the business to control rents. We're not in the business to say you can't charge that. That's a socialistic style of government, and that's not who we are. And so all of that is threading this needle of how we, have a community of choice, one that's well planned, well maintained, manicured, if you will, front door look, at the same time welcoming to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Our next question comes from Mary Berg Jemison. She said, I sent a request in through Connect to Pearland. Thank you for using that, by the way. About a possible water leak in the corner of my street on Island Orange. Why was it put on hold is not my issue important to the city of Pearland.
Yeah, I think this is the one I was referring to
Yes,
earlier
you
in
mentioned
my
this earlier.
discussion,
Yep.
and that is, this is where our customer experience isn't where it needs to be. So what Mary got back should not be saying put on hold.
Right.
It should be saying a work order has been issued. It is in process. Okay.
When
Those types of things, not put on hold.
and just a little bit of how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
So the Connect to Pearland app connects to a system called CityWorks on the back end, which is where tickets are created for the internal team for them to process all of the requests that come in. It's a terminology differentiation between the two platforms, and one that we're actually looking into to try to streamline. But when a ticket comes through Connect to Pearland, it gets dropped, it creates a work order in CityWorks. When that work order is assigned to somebody and it's in process, when it sends information back to Connect to Pearland, and there's currently not an in process option in Connect to Pearland, and the closest one is on hold. So it's technically in process, looks like it's on hold in Connect to Pearland. So it's a communication piece that we're.
But again, what they see, Mary didn't know that.
Right. And so Mary, that's what we're trying to work on.
And what
now.
they don't know, what they don't know.
Exactly.
And so they shouldn't have to interpret that. It's recognized internally that that's the wrong messaging going back to the customer and the citizen when they submit it. One of the things might be a good exercise in a talk of the town is let's take a Connect to and all the different dashboards, all the different tickets, and what that looks like.
Yeah.
Because
deep dive.
I would dare say that from Mary to anyone else, when they click on Connect to, again, people don't know what they don't know.
Right.
I have to remind myself that all the time, and that's not a negative on the person. It's just you only know what you know, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
And so I think it would be real good for us to walk through and show when you do this Connect to Pearland, where does it go?
Yep.
We just talked about it.
Yep.
I think we physically show it.
I think that's
here's
great.
where it goes.
Yep.
Here's what's generated. Somebody goes out and takes a look at it.
Yep.
I mean, we want to put eyes on it to see what it is. And then how many other work orders are already in process? Because most people don't know there may be hundreds of work orders in process. And so then we have to evaluate, okay, what goes here versus here, and what is triage, where we'll go out and temporarily fix something. Like a trip and fall situation on a sidewalk.
Right.
That's the reason why we do that. And then we'll come back and fix it at a later date. And so it might be real good for us to walk through that in one of these Talk of the Towns, because most people, again, they just don't know this sidewalks. Since October, there's 600 requests in, or there's 600 identified. 600 plus. And so I think that'd be important to
I think that's a good idea. I think people would find that interesting.
Right.
We kind of already addressed this, but Monica Morgan asked, why didn't the city of Pearland plan for or provide a warming center from Sunday through Tuesday?
Yeah, at the end of the day, that was one that we were ready to spend if we needed to, but being tucked away in somebody's home versus getting out was safer. And we recognize that not 100% of our community, may have the best insulated and those types of things at home. But this is a careful decision that's made. It's not made out of insensitivity to people and that type of thing. At the end of the day, our rec center was open on Sunday. It was open full on Monday. People could always go to the rec center and hang out for a few minutes. But I will say, even Monday, temperature rose to 40 by noontime. So we were standing ready, willing, and able. Had that temperature gone deeper, we just made the decision with where the temperatures were going. We didn't feel the need to do that. I haven't seen or heard people calling in asking if we had a warming center open.
Yep.
I have had chatter on social media, were we planning some, but I haven't heard, citizens coming back saying, I tried to go to a warming center and there's not one.
Right.
So we do have churches in the greater area that did open doors and had stating ready, willing, and able. As a conservative, I think that's where some of our nonprofit organizations can help in times of need like this, is open those facilities up and the like. So we take all that. In fact, I asked the question about warming centers probably 3 times from Thursday to Saturday.
Yep.
And decisions made to delay that decision in the event we needed it. Now, had we lost power,
right, different scenario,
and those types of things, that's a completely different scenario. And warming centers would have been opened. The rec center for sure would have been opened up overnight, where people could get to that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Candy Elenis asked.
Real quick, I do want to go back to David Selski real quick.
Yeah.
So January 28th
will
be the 40th anniversary of the Challenger disaster, and I'm glad David put that on here.
Thank you, David, for putting that there.
That it's just 40 years ago we lost that crew. I remember where I was. I was at Texas Tech University. I was walking into the dining hall. I saw the TV and somebody told me the Challenger just exploded. And I said, "You're crazy. Like, don't joke on that stuff." And I'm like, okay, it really happened. And so I know exactly where I was, what I was doing. I mean, that's how impactful that was, 40 years ago. So kind of mind boggling that that's now been 40 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So,
Thank you, David, for putting that one in there. Candy Elenis asked, why is the water so much more expensive than in the neighboring Sage Glen community?
It's a great question, Candy, and every single community and how they pay for things is differently. Here in Pearland, your water and sewer is a complete standalone entity within the city. So the infrastructure, water lines, plants, plant expansions, all of that go into your water bill directly. And then on top of that, you have the treatment and the distribution back to your home. In the Sage Glen area, that is a MUD district, a municipal utility district only. It is not run by the city of Houston. It is run by a MUD district. I'll think of the MUD district name here in just a second, but I just lost it. So straight up, just north of us. So in a MUD district, just like our MUD districts in the Silver Lake area, okay, their water bill is, and they have a tax rate for their MUD. So their MUD tax rate is, in that tax rate is their facilities, is their capital expense. If they do an expansion, if they do water lines and those types of things, it is in their tax rate. Okay. And then they have water distribution separate. So you have to combine the two for your real bill.
Yep.
Your real bill is combining the two. I don't know what their tax rates are over there for their debt service and those types of things, but it's apples and bananas. It's not apples even and oranges when you compare the two, and so you have to look at the whole.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, Lee Organ asked, when are they going to start building Hughes Road over Riverstone?
So it's a great question, Lee. I've actually got a question and a comment out to the design team. So the design of the road is in process. I do know that. We do have, we're in partnership with Harris County. We received some money from Harris County, about 45% of the project cost.
Because originally it is still a bond funded project,
Correct.
but we were able to
draw
move
down some of those monies out.
Yep.
And I do know one of the major components of the roadway that's going to be a long lead time is the additional bridge across Clear Creek. That requires the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for approval. Anytime you engage with that organization, it slows everything down. But we do have questions to our project team on a good defined schedule for when that design is going to be finished and construction started.
So we'll get that information back to you in the comments.
So we will.
Specifically.
I'm going to address Monica's comment here. Monica, I tell you what would have been very insensitive for the city to have done is to move forward on that sports complex after the '08 market crash, when we had homes in Shadow Creek Ranch and others that were going through foreclosure. So the decision was made in about 2010 to actually suspend some of the bond program from the '08, excuse me, the '07 bond program. That was the right thing to do, because it would have been insensitive to increase taxes, increase debt, everything else, when we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of homes going through foreclosure.
Sure.
So yes, it might have cost more, but it would have been wrong to have put the gas pedal down and done
In
some of
such a
those
challenging
projects
market. Yeah.
in a very challenging market to people's homes. So
thank you for responding to that. Next, Tim. Hi, Tim. Tim and I went to high school together. Can we at least take the signs down that tell us to turn on yellow if we aren't going to get to turn on yellow?
You know, Tim, that kind of happens. It goes with flow of traffic. Yeah, there's sometimes you can't turn on yellow because the traffic is still coming.
Yep.
That's traffic. During high peak demand, that's going to be a problem. If it's low demand, that shouldn't be a problem. So there's nothing specific here from Tim on a exact location. We have had some devices, some of our sensors, where we've had problems either with the blinking yellow or with yellow, and
or
in fact,
transition.
even a green light. We've got some where it's green for 5 seconds and then changes. That's, generally speaking, that's going to be a sensor problem. So I'd like to know more if there's a specific.
Yeah, Tim, if you want to follow up on that, it'd be good to know. We can look into, we do have a traffic calming committee that looks at a number of things like that. We also have a traffic division, which, shameless plug for the people of Pearland, we're going to have an episode coming out with Yulsi and Mario. Yulsi's our traffic engineer, and Mario is our traffic superintendent, I think is his title. And between the two of them and their whole team, they are responsible for our 115 intersections, lighted intersections. I think that's how many we have. But there's a lot that goes into managing the timing and all the technology, and who has responsibility for it. Is it an us intersection or is it a TxDOT intersection? A number of different things. So there's going to be a really long form, fascinating conversation about that.
Or county.
Or a county, right.
I mean, there's some nuances where it's the county versus this. I mean, it gets difficult to manage it. Yeah,
intersection timing, generally speaking, is something that we take very seriously and have a lot of conversations about. Tim, if you have more information, send that to us, and we'll be happy to get you something back on that. Sarah Stevens asked, when will North Galveston Avenue between East Plum and East Orange get sidewalks?
Hang on. We're going to back up.
Oh.
So we have late breaking news.
Late breaking news.
Yeah, back on Hughes Road.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I reached out to the design company on when are we going to have this thing ready, right?
Yep.
And I just got back. This is late breaking news, so staff doesn't even know this yet.
That doesn't make me nervous at all.
Should be at 90% design in March.
Okay.
So 2 months from now.
Months,
it takes reviews for about a month, utility signatures in June, advertised for bid in July.
Okay, there you go.
So hopefully we will be under construction by summer, and that construction, because of the bridge, is probably going to be a year to 18 months. Because of the bridge.
Okay, thank you for getting that update. Yeah. Okay, so Sarah Stevens asked about sidewalks on North Galveston between Plum and East Orange. Let's see.
Yeah, so I've actually looked at this, and the reason there's no sidewalks there, and it's going to be very hard to put sidewalks in, is this is an open ditch section of the old town site. And so it literally goes from street to ditch. There's no room between the street and the ditch to put a sidewalk. And then the other side of the ditch is private property. So this is one of those areas of the town site that's you really can't put a sidewalk there unless you fill in the ditches.
Right.
So that would,
which mean concrete curb and gutter, which would be,
well, not necessarily concrete curb and gutter, but we would have to encase all of that, smooth it over, and then come in with a sidewalk. And so, so this is an area, lots of money. And there's a few areas within the town site that have a sidewalk. And when I say it's a sidewalk, it's not a 4-foot sidewalk. They're about this big. And which it does give a designated place to walk.
Sure.
I wish I had a better answer, but Old Town Site was built 100 years ago.
Right.
And so I wish it was a little easier to do that.
Yep.
Hopefully with some of our redoing at Old Town Site, some of these types of things will be addressed over time.
Yeah.
We have put sidewalks throughout Old Town Site where we can, and has made it better. But this is a particular area where there's, quite frankly, there's just no room. When you look at the street, it drops straight into the ditch.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I wish that wasn't the case, Sarah, but that's the reality of it. There's just no room to put the sidewalk in.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. The last one from our questions we got ahead of time. Caroline Nelson asks, what is the plan to replace all the trees which are cut down to expand Broadway between 288 and 35?
Yeah, that's a great question. So obviously the state has acquired that right of way where those trees were. The state of Texas will be managing that expansion, project of Broadway. So utility relocations will go first, and then the street will go second. It's in 2 phases. It's from 288 through Cullen.
Yep.
We'll actually get the whole Cullen intersection done. To about Chocolate Bayou or Old Chocolate Road. And then the second phase is from there all the way to through the McLean area. So on the back end of that project, our Pearland Economic Development Corporation, who will be paying for the relocation of the utilities. So we have that going on. But on the back end of that will be a landscaping project to come back in with trees and landscaping and the like, similar to what, well, obviously it's not similar to what's there now.
Yeah.
Because the mature trees are what they are. But similar to some of our other roadway projects that you see, we'll have some of that beautification project on the back end.
Like a Main Street.
35, and some of our other projects that you see.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to any questions that came in.
We have a few. Sorry, I'm not mic'd up, and I'm going to pull it up that way the audience can see it.
Sure. Joe's going to pull the questions out for us.
Torres asked, can y'all fix the light at Shadow Creek High School on Broadway?
Can we fix the light?
Times. It's ridiculous. It only allows 2 to 3 cars each cycle. It's not good with the school with that many students. So
yeah, so I know the intersection they're talking about. Yeah, let's make sure that we turn that in. But I think there's also there is a construction project that's making its way through. I'm not sure of the timing of construction, but it's coming up where we're actually adding a 3rd lane from that area further west.
Yep.
And so there may be some work on that total intersection, making it better for students and families to get in and out of the school. But let's turn that into traffic operations to make sure that we don't have a sensor issue.
Perfect. And then just a follow-up comment question from Rick. I've been asking the same question for 4 years. Are they going to expand the road on private property? Can we make sure they include the sidewalk in this widening project?
And the answer is yes, Rick. That's part of the design. It's mandatory with TxDOT. It won't be expanded onto private property. The state will be buying that additional right-of-way when they're ready to, and every single one of their projects requires sidewalks to be a part of it. Correct.
Great.
And just so you know, we've stated that the last several months that sidewalks are a part of that project.
What else? That's it. Okay. Closing comments, thoughts?
No, just this weekend, it's going to get cold again. I think down below freezing. Fortunately, I don't think there's any wet stuff coming with it. So fingers crossed that that we won't have the wet stuff along with it. But great engagement, great interaction, great questions.
Great start to the year.
Yeah, we take every one of these to heart, and we want to do better. We always want to get things fixed. Don't assume that we know. We're 75, 77 square miles of city,
Yep.
and to know if like you said, 110 to 115 traffic
Signals.
lighted,
Yep.
intersections. Don't assume that we know if there's a problem in an intersection.
Yep.
You can't physically
That's
do
why we
that
have
on a
the
daily
app
basis.
the Connect Pearland app.
That's right.
To submit those links.
That's right. And so we ask our citizens to help us. We do have, police officers and other crews and public works crews that are out and about. When they see something, they self-report, lots of things that go on. But
Yeah.
if you see something, say something. Let us know. We'll do better on the app to make sure that it doesn't
Sure.
say we put it on hold. But yeah, all this together, it helps, and we want to continue to be the community of choice that people want to be here, live here, plant their lives here, plant their businesses here. It's that way because there's been a lot of thoughtful planning and those types of things over decades, not just recently, but decades of work that have gone in to various councils and staff and everybody over time. So Pearland is a great place to be. It's a great place to live. Do we have our challenges? Always. I don't care where you are. You got a challenge somewhere.
Yep.
There is no such thing as a perfect place, and we want to make it that way.
Sure.
We want to strive to be that way, but stay tuned to probably be in our March timeframe. We can talk about the goals that come from this weekend.
Yeah.
In where we are, we'll be ready to probably approve those and adopt what comes out of this weekend. So stay tuned.
Yep. Keep the questions coming, and
Yep.
Y'all stay warm out there.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.